Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Modern Mompreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Day Smith, CEO and founder of Simplicity by Day, and I am the mompreneur advocate. I am all about serving mompreneurs and helping us build a community where we can be more empowered and support one another and just be encouraged to continue this crazy life that we live. And so I'm so excited to have a fellow mompreneur, Sara Parrish, who I met through a networking event. Her and I are both in the same, we're in the same networking group here in Houston, and she is such a professional, just top of her game. She's in the financial industry, and she does serve small business owners and individuals to get their finances organized, which I can definitely support that, and to help you be able to create wealth for your family. She's also a mom as well, and so I'm going to let her say hello to the mompreneur podcast community and tell us who she is a little bit more. So welcome, Sara.
Thank you, Day. Thanks for having me. This is so exciting.
Thank you.
Yes, my name is Sara Parrish. I am a financial advisor and founder of Sara Wealth Management. A mom of four. I have a unique blended family. So I have two of my own and two stepsons. Live in Houston, Texas, and have been doing this for almost 15 years now.
Wow, look at you. Yes, so I love that you have a wealth management business, but you're also managing a blended family. That's a very unique perspective on the Mompreneur podcast. I can't wait to dive in more. So tell us, let's talk about that. Let's talk about your role as a mom. How old are your kids, and how do you kind of manage raising them and raising a business as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. So my stepsons are twins, twin boys. They're
Oh,
16 years old. And then I have an 8-year-old son and a 6-year-old daughter. Um, I when my husband and I got married, my twin stepsons, they were two. So that
wow.
gives you kind of some perspective on how long, I've been in their lives and they've been in mine. I joke with them that we were both babies. We were all babies when we met. We've just been raising each other. And yeah, I started my business right around the same time. And so it's been a lot of growth. Um, as my family dynamic has changed,
Hmm.
there have been moments where the business took a step forward, the business had to take a step back. And I've just recently put it more at the forefront now that
Hmm.
my youngest one has started kindergarten.
Yay.
But it's crazy over here in the parish household at all
Well,
times.
yeah, well, I'm sure a lot of us can relate to that. Just managing the kids and all of that. So your twins, they've been along for the ride, for the journey. What I'm always interested in knowing, kids at that age, a little bit older, and even your 8-year-old, what do they think of you as a business owner? Do they ever show any interest in what mom do when she goes to work, or do you include them at all in the business?
That's a funny question because not that long ago, it was this summer, my daughter looks at me, she goes, "Mom, do you even work?"
No, she didn't.
I was like, at first so offended because I'm like, of course I work. How can you not see that? But then she doesn't see that, right? Because
Mm.
she's at school. I have very strict boundaries on my
Ooh.
work hours and when I run appointments. And so she sees me, taking her to her doctor's appointments and showing up for her class parties. And so I actually ended up taking it as a compliment that I'm balancing well because, now as she gets older and and understands more about, the juggle and the business and things like that, I hope that she will learn to appreciate the sacrifice that both take. As far as my boys go, I mean, boys and girls are so different, right? So my twins, they just started their junior year of high school. So I've been
Mhm.
trying to talk to them a lot about what they want to do, and
Yeah.
they're just have no idea. They're not interested. They have no idea what they want to do. So for them, it's trying to more on the personal side, just teach them some good money habits more
Mm.
than like anything about the business.
Got it. Yeah, no, I was gonna say when you said your daughter said, do you even work? definitely take that as a compliment as opposed to her saying, "Mommy's always working," or,
Right.
"You're always on your computer," which I got that feedback from my kids one time. So that was like, ugh, gut wrenching. But yes, that take that as a badge of honor that you're able to set boundaries and be present in that way. How are you able to do that?
Set
Set the
boundaries.
Yeah, what does that look like for you?
So what that looks like for me is I run appointments 3 days a week.
Mhm.
And so my calendar is very like set, which was hard at first because in the beginning, you're just trying to accumulate clients, right? So you will meet anybody, anywhere, any time of the week. And once I had my own children, I realized that my priorities were changing and
Mhm.
I wanted them to come first. So um, the first time that happened was when I had my son Benjamin. So I had Benjamin in 2017, 2014. I had been in the business for 5 years. And that's like the hustle period, like you're just trying to
Mm.
hustle, hustle, hustle and build a clientele. Um, and it was important for me that he was at home with me more than he was in daycare his first year of life. That was just a personal thing that I was important to me.
Yeah.
And so I took 6 months of maternity leave, which I'm 100% commission. So as a business owner, that looks different than someone,
Mm.
um, who is salary. But I was able to make that work. I had a lot of help from my mother-in-law and my mom during that time. But I held off. He was home with me for the first 6 months. And then when he went back, I only worked 2 days a week. And when you're limited in your time, you just really focus and turn it on. And for the first time, I was setting very strict time boundaries on
Mhm.
when I was available to my clients.
Mhm.
And the ones that were important and serious about this, they molded, into my time. Like I actually never had any issues. And
Wow.
that was my first um, justification or validation. That was my first validation that I think I can do both of these things.
Wow.
So once my son turned a year and I put him in daycare full time, I still wanted to be available because I mean, kids, they're always
Sick.
sick, doctor's
Yeah.
appointments, and I found that running 3 days of appointments and leaving those 2 days available for the unexpected things that would happen with the kids or that their parties, would come up or school ended early on Fridays. Um, I was able to do both. And so I have kept that schedule so far, and it's really worked for me.
Awesome. I love that. I love that. So I talk a lot about as a modern mompreneur, you are tr- your goal, my goal, a lot of our goals is to have a life first business. And you've done that. The
Mhm.
fact that you um first of all, kudos to you for being a commission only entrepreneur and actually taking 6 month maternity. That's like a corporate maternity leave, a corporate job maternity leave. So I would assume that you being financially savvy played a role into that, like how to plan that so we can talk about how you can help moms do that. But kudos to you to be able to say, you know what, this is more important to be with my child during the first year if you can, and also being not feeling guilty about taking a break from your business, so that you can be present with him and you never get that time back. And also knowing when you come back how to ease into it. Like you're not going to be able to go full speed ahead like you did before you had kids. You
Right.
have a new normal. And so a lot of and some moms even struggle a little bit longer with, different postpartum things. So you were able to
Right.
ease back into it. You also leverage your support system, your village, your mom and your mother-in-law, and you made it work. So that is really great, and I hope that people listening will take that to heart and say, you know what, like you said, you can do it because you can. Just take some planning and some realization about what the new normal is. So thank you for sharing that. I love that. I love that.
Thank you. I would want to say, just in case I want to acknowledge that it's not always easy to be a motivated businesswoman and
Mm,
watch your colleagues and your peers move forward
mm,
past you. You right? So there are most days where that's easy. But there are some days where I look at the people that I started with and I'm like, they are ahead of me. And that can be hard, until I take a
mm.
step back and I'm like, okay, but why are they ahead of me? They're ahead of me because they're putting more hours in, but they're not putting more hours in because I'm lazy or not motivated. It's just that my priorities are different.
Yeah.
Um, and I go through seasons where I have to really remind myself of that because I can feel left behind in a sense.
Oh man, I had to. So as we're recording, I'm like marking down things that you say, like timestamps, because that is so honest and important. Because we will do that comparison thing, like, you know what, they're able to do this and that, but the reality is they don't have the same, they don't live your life, they don't have the things you have, and you have to
Right.
be okay and secure with that decision, because you did make the right decision to be present for your kids, like, at the end
Right.
of the day. And I even have that with my corporate job and balancing the career. I've decided to take a step back in the fast track in corporate so that I can focus on my business, so people have surpassed me the
Yeah.
same way, and I'm like, oh wait, I have different priorities, and I have kids, like, it's different. And I
Yeah.
think that that is the measure of success. You set your own goals that matter to you, and achieving those is the definition of success, not the titles and the trajectory of your career, but the fact that your daughter thinks you don't work because you're always there. That is success. That's so funny. I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. Um, and then you say your clients accepted that. They gave you grace for this new normal.
hmm
I believe that perhaps you put that energy out there, and that's who you attracted. Like you said, if they were going to fit into your two day a week schedule, they would. And then
Right.
you also fit into that mode, 'cause I bet you were the most efficient person ever in those 2 days. You probably got more done in 2 days than someone who worked full time got done in 5. I guarantee it. As a mom, I know you did.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people are realizing that in this COVID world, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's becoming more popular to have 4-day work weeks. And, it's as long as you're focused, I mean, it doesn't take always, 8 hours a day, 5 hours a week to really build a business.
Yeah.
Especially if you're delegating and outsourcing the things that are um, I feel like to say below your pay grade sounds a little demeaning, but there are things that are below your pay grade.
Mm-hmm.
And so to delegate that and make sure that you're just focusing on the things that will grow your business that only you can do.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes a little bit of a system, but so far it's been working for me. So
Yeah. Yeah. If you're the CEO, you do have to focus on the revenue generating activities,
exactly.
not making PowerPoint spreadsheets or answering all the emails, yeah. And
Mhm.
I talk about that extensively as a productivity coach, to know, you don't want to be the glorified assistant as a CEO.
Right.
You want to be able to be in business development and meeting with clients and doing the things that's going to generate income, because if you don't do that, nobody's going to make money. You or
That's
your
right.
assistant. So you got to
Yeah.
focus on that.
That's right.
Yeah, and it's
Mhm.
hard for moms, I think, sometimes to delegate. Have you found that same rule to be true in your personal life, where you had to delegate the same way? Task
I
at
am
home?
very hard at delegating at home.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
I have the most amazing assistant at work. And I mean, she is just so capable. And I mean, my business has thrived the last 2 years. I would say mainly because she is
Oh,
behind the scenes supporting me.
awesome.
Um, and so it has become easy to delegate to her because I trust her. I
Okay.
mean, just yesterday, I was, was the afternoon. I was beginning to, really think and plan for this podcast. Just wanted
Mhm.
to revisit, my notes and things like that. And I texted her. I was like, "Hey, can you send me?" Because she's remote. She's a single mom of 3, so she works from
Mhm.
home. I work from
Mhm.
home. And I was like, "Hey, can you send me my script?" And she was like, "It's already in your inbox." Like she had already thought about it and sent it to me.
Yeah.
Um, Now, my husband, bless his heart, is not quite the same. But to
No,
be
perfect.
fair, he's not, working for me.
Yeah.
He's his own entrepreneur. He's got multiple
Okay.
businesses that he's running. Um, and so it is hard for me to delegate at home,
Mm-hmm.
especially the things to do with the kids, the grocery planning, just the things that I don't feel like he does the way that I like it, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I know everyone listening can relate to that. I know I'm not the
Yes.
only
Yes. 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 It's like I have oh goodness, I have been a little better about it this year with the delegating and
Mhm.
being okay to let someone pick up the kid, sometimes, or having like a standing Tuesday night to babysit, just to like
Yeah.
give me time to focus. But man, it was hard cuz I
Mhm.
don't wanna have the mom guilt of I know that's the thing. I don't wanna have the mom guilt of not being present or, my kids to have a memory of, me being on my computer all the time or you're always going out of town, and so that means more to me. Um, but they are okay. I have delegated and they are okay, and I know you have older kids, so I bet they probably could, at this point, chip in a lot to help if you wanted them to, if you trusted them to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
having older kids.
Having, 16-year-olds, I mean, we have tried. So my husband and I have always been really bad um, at dating each other,
Mhm,
like we're
mhm,
always going on. We're very independent. We're very
mhm,
motivated. We have our
mhm,
own interests and our own likes. And we've been very much have viewed marriage, not as something to tie you down with
mhm.
all, as far as, your interests and the things that in your friends. And so we both have a lot going on and
Yeah.
we've had a hard time, making that time together. But now that the twins are older, when we have them, we let them put the littles to bed and we
Mhm.
go, get a drink or dinner. And that's been really
Nice.
nice. Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. Good, good. Yeah, I'm like, as soon as my kids can do like take their own bath and put them down to sleep, and I'm like the next chapter of my life begins. It's like, okay,
Yes.
now
Yeah.
I can go out for drinks. I'm like, we can't do that now, but it'll happen sooner or later. So I love that. I love that. Okay. Well, I want to transition to talk about your business because I think you have a really interesting intro into your business. You didn't even plan to be here. You were wanting to be in the Peace Corps, which is so
Yeah.
different.
So
Tell us about what that journey was like for you, getting into the financial business,
yeah.
wealth business.
So I was a finance major.
Mhm.
I went to A&M and got my bachelor's degree in finance, and I have a double minor in economics and international business.
Nice.
So I was definitely interested, but I didn't know specifically. I had this bug to travel. My dad, lived in Mexico most of my life and had always told me like to expand your horizons, and
Mm,
I had just had a taste. I studied abroad for a summer.
nice.
Um, and so all of that had kind of given me this taste for, travel and wanting to see the world and something bigger than I didn't necessarily have a desire to come back to Houston after I graduated. And so, and at the, I really was also very mission minded, especially at that time. And so I was trying to
Mm,
marry the two, right? And so the
okay.
Peace Corps seemed like a perfect solution. It was 2 years. I loved that like micro business that they do, where you invest in these communities that don't
Mhm.
have, these third world countries. And because like it's a ripple effect, right? Like if you can have one business become successful, then they can affect an entire community. And I
Yeah,
just really was drawn to that mission.
love it.
And so that was my plan. And then I met my husband. We met, unexpectedly, the July before my senior year of college. And I knew right away that he was the one. It was like
Wow.
that cheesy love at first sight, like did not believe, that was true until I met him. But then I really struggled because I was like, I am an independent woman. I'm not changing my plans for a man, and so we went through a period where I refused to accept that we were dating, right? Because I
Oh
knew that
god.
as soon as I called him my boyfriend, that was it.
It's a wrap. Yeah.
Um, And so in November, I finally, through much personal, reflecting and really thinking about what God wanted for me. And he obviously, because he had kids, couldn't
Mhm.
leave with me, right?
Mhm.
And so I came back to school in January and I was like, well, I guess I'm looking for a job in Houston. And I applied for anything relative to my, major. And I was
Mm.
hoping for an oil and gas job, like business development, something that I could still travel.
Yeah.
And God was like, nope, not only can you not leave Houston because your new husband's kids are here,
Mhm.
but the only interviews I'm giving you are going to be in financial services.
Yeah.
And, my company at the time, his name was AXA, and it was an easy decision. But I didn't know what I was getting into. Like, if you had told me, you know, you're going to be a financial advisor, I would have said, no, I'm not. Because I
Wow.
think of that in sales, and I'm not a salesperson.
Okay. Okay.
But um, when I first started, so a lot of it is, a little bit of ignorance, right? You don't really know what you're getting into.
Mhm.
I got my licenses really quickly and easily because I was already studying. It was my senior year of
Mhm.
college.
Mhm.
And I first started off working with educators.
Yeah.
So my job was to go out to the schools in HISD that I was assigned to and help
Wow.
teachers or any educator set up their retirement plan, their 403B.
Wow. Okay.
And at 21, that was harder than you might think, because a lot of the educators were significantly older than me. And so, that in that finance money world, that's still like the last taboo topic, like you don't
Mm.
talk about that in your social circles,
Yeah.
And so I had to overcome a lot of no's, a lot of insecurities. But I quickly realized that I knew only one thing about this 403B and this TRS pension plan. And even though these educators were, much older and wiser than me in many other areas, they did not know anything about this particular thing. And so I
Mm.
began to build a lot of confidence and realize that I am helping a ton of people because there's a big misconception in that
Mhm.
space that
Mhm.
TRS was going to take care of them.
Yeah.
So um, it was a very rewarding job, very hard. I mean, I cried every week in the first 3 years. I'm sure. I mean, I went to my husband. I'm like, this is so hard, and I don't know
Yeah.
if I can do this. And he told me, he was like, you can go do anything you want. Just you tell me if you don't want to do this, that's fine. And so I would sit and think, like, what else do I want to do? And I just couldn't think of anything else. And I
Mm.
saw the long term, right? Like I
Okay.
saw the future, the flexibility to make my own schedule, the being my own boss, but still having the resources of this, big company that I was working for available to me.
Yeah.
And so I stuck it out, and I'm so glad that I did.
Yeah. Growing pains, growing pains.
Yeah,
So today you're obviously not still working with teachers.
I
What
do, but not only teachers.
not only, yeah, not doing that, but that's amazing though. You were educating them and you talk about that about how people just want to feel like they're getting guided because we don't know. We don't know about our finances. My husband and I have been watching this Netflix special called Get Rich, Your Rich Life.
Okay.
I think the interview is named Ramit. He's written a book about it, but he interviews all these couples at various levels and places in their life, and how first of all a lot of them don't communicate about what's happening in their finances, but they don't know either. They're not educated on the way credit cards and loans and interest rates and savings and investing and mortgages work. And
Right.
so, which is really, a testament to why your work is so important because you're
Mm.
sitting down and educating. And I know you said financial advising seems like sales. I don't know if it's because I've been around a few financial advisors, but I look to them as a resource the same way I would do a doctor or a
Mhm.
lawyer. I don't
Yes.
have that knowledge and I need it.
Right.
So
Exactly.
I think, that's what you're doing. So today, if a person is struggling with, their finances, what would you say to them is a good starting point to, seek out someone like you, or what should they be doing, I guess, especially as a mompreneur or a mom?
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, there is such a lack of financial education in any of our education
Oh
systems,
yeah.
right? And so the common thread, unless you had a parent really sit down and teach you all of these things, maybe you had a teacher that, was cognizant enough to, and you were old enough to even take in that, knowledge, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're all learning by trial and error.
Yeah.
And some of those, you make some mistakes, and that can really set you back. I mean, for decades.
Mm.
And even if you are doing the right things, you're making making more than you spend, and you're saving for retirement, you're saving for your kids' college. Very often people are doing that blindly. They don't know exactly how much they should be saving for retirement.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they don't have systematic savings in place. And so, my point in saying that is that everyone can benefit from knowing and having a financial advisor that they work with.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there is a difference in I think you have a unique perspective because you know some financial advisors, but I would say that most people think of financial advisors and they think I'm a stock picker or an investment manager.
Mm-hmm.
And while I can't help with those things, that is not the entire definition of a financial advisor. You can have really good investments. That doesn't make a financial plan.
Mm-hmm.
A financial plan is looking at the entire picture and attaching each one of those investments and savings to a goal, and
Mm.
making sure that that individual goal, you're doing enough to meet it, but then it also fits within the entire picture, right? All the goals aren't competing against each other, or you are prioritizing. For example, I run into people who, it's very common for people to be like, I don't have any debt. I don't like debt. Debt makes me
Mm.
uncomfortable. 9 times out of 10, those people also don't have emergency funds. So what's going to happen is that they're constantly going to be paying off debt because they don't have the emergency fund to cover those unexpected expenses that
Mm. Wow.
or another common one with moms, especially, is I'm going to focus on saving for college for my children, and they're not fully prepared in saving the right amount for their own retirement.
Mm.
And if you think about it, if our priority is our children, we should flip our thinking a little bit and think, well, it may not be ideal, but I can finance college, I can finance, education. You can't finance retirement. And so if
Mm.
you've done all this stuff to pay for your kids' college, but then they're taking care of you, in your
Yeah.
years when they're trying to build their own wealth and like save for their own, that is not what's in our kids' best interest. So a
Yes, I like
financial
that.
advisor will help you see some of that. On top of that, making sure that all the right protection is in place. You can be doing all the right saving, all the right planning, but if you don't have the right insurances, and something unexpected happens, all of that planning is for naught. And a
Yeah.
financial advisor is going to help guide you through that and
Mm-hmm.
educate you on what your options are. Um, so if you don't have one, a really good place to start would be to, go to a friend or a family member that you really admire the way that their lifestyle, they live their
Mm.
life, and ask them, do you work with an advisor? Um, I recognize that is still, like, because we said
Taboo.
finance is kind of last taboo
Yeah. Yeah.
topic. If you just don't have that option, or if that makes you uncomfortable, you can do an internet search. You can do, make sure that you're checking on FINRA broker check, before you meet someone. But if they're just looking at one specific thing, one account, one asset management, and not putting a full plan together for
Mm-hmm.
you, then just keep looking until you find that.
I love that. I love all the scenarios because that's real life with the savings, with kids, with being afraid of debt and not having an emergency fund, and even the life insurance. I know even people have feelings about that, but me
Yeah.
again, I was exposed to it early and I see it differently. It's not so much of a taboo, but you basically leverage these things in order to build the life that you want. Whether that is some debt is okay. Mortgage is debt. Student
Yep.
loans is debt. But think about what you're getting from that. You're building wealth, owning property. You're building the potential wealth with a degree. So it's not
Right.
bad. And as a business owner, you accumulate debt too as you're building your business for the potential payoff. So you won't know that because it's not taught in school. You can watch Netflix videos like we've been doing, but the best thing is go to a professional. And I'm not just selling Sara services. I honestly believe that this is just a part of your village as a mompreneur. Like you can't do it all unless you're a financial advisor like Sara, which I am not.
Don't do it all.
Don't come to me for that. I will organize you, but I'm going to send you to somebody else because that's not my gift. And she is really passionate about education and making sure that we're set up for success, and so if you're listening, reach out to Sara. We'll definitely put her information at the end of the podcast, but do what she says, ask your friends who seem to have it all together. And the same way you ask them, who do they use for their cleaning or their lawn? You could be like, who do you
Exactly.
use for your for your financial advising? And, I would think there'd be some fiduciary responsibility or some sort of, compliance thing where of course they don't say, so it's you and their relationship. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, um, good deal. Well, now I want to kind of transition to my favorite part of the podcast, and that is the lightning round. So I'll ask you a series of questions and just share what's off the top of your head. There's no wrong answer. We just want to learn more about you. And yeah, so here we go. What are 3 words to describe you today?
So I knew you were going to ask me this. So I actually asked my husband because I don't like talking about myself, but I was like,
Yeah.
I could be for that. So he said authentic, intuitive, and compassionate. And
That's
I hope that I am all 3 of those things.
that's a good man. That's a good man. I agree. Um, what would you tell your 18-year-old self today?
Oh man. That all the plans that I thought I had for myself, God had a different plan and they are so much better. So like
Oh,
just don't even worry about it. It's just
wow.
your life is going to turn out better than you imagined it would be.
Awesome. Love that. What does it mean to you to be a modern mompreneur?
For me, that means building a lifestyle practice
Mm,
where my business fits into my lifestyle and I have control of my schedule.
love it. Oh, love it. What do you love about being a mom and a bonus mom?
um, I truly love all the things. I wanted to be a mom forever and I just love it all. Even though it's hard. I did not like being pregnant. That was really challenging. But my favorite thing about being a mom was that experiencing that unconditional love.
Mm,
Like I am my kids' favorite person in the world and I love that. And they are also my favorite people.
yeah.
They're I am their safe space, but they're also my safe space. Being a mom has been very healing for me and the
Mm,
home that I have been very intentional to create um is just my dream.
yeah. That warmed my heart. Oh my gosh. That almost made me get teary-eyed. That's so sweet. I love that. What are you reading, watching, and or listening to right now?
Oh, I can answer all of those. I'm doing all of that stuff.
Tell us.
So I just finished recently Amy Bartol's Second Born series, and I just loved it so much that I have been reading all of her books. But I recommend Second Born. So if you're looking for, it's like young adult, but it's pretty good. Um, let's see, what am I watching? So Matt and I just finished Yellowstone and
Okay.
House of Dragons, and now we're kind of we get behind the bandwagon, right? So we just started Outlander, which I know has been out for forever.
Yeah.
Um and then listening to, so I try to listen to podcasts to get my news, right? It's important that I'm staying up on like financial topics, current
Mm,
events. So I listen to NPR Daily News. They have like a really quick, like 5 minute, every hour or so. And I get my highlights there. I also listen to the Morning Brew daily podcast,
mhm.
which gives, some more in depth current events.
Okay.
And then last year, actually, I started listening to the Bible Recap podcast, which is just amazing. It like
Hmm.
gives these little snippets of passages that you've read in the Bible and like the best, it's like a little story, just helps you digest it and understand it. And she points out
Mm,
things that you just would have never noticed before. And so that's been awesome. I've loved that.
I love that. I love that. I always like hearing from y'all because I get so many. That's how I found about the
I
rich
bet
life.
you do. Yeah.
I'm
I should
like
be asking
taking.
you that. Like, what are your recommendations?
I wanna put a compilation of all of the reading, watching, and listening to because man, you guys have some great quality stuff. I mean, sometimes it's like I watch Bachelorette, whatever you watch, like something that's frivolous, but that's fine too. So I love it.
Yeah.
And then last question: what is bringing you joy right now?
And just in general, I think so if the question is what's bringing me joy in my downtime, I had prepared an answer for that, and right now it's decorating, right?
Mm,
So my husband is flipping a house. I mentioned he's got all of his own businesses, right? So he's
yeah,
flipping
yeah.
a house, and so I've been planning all like the interior for that.
Wow,
I just helped a friend completely redecorate her bedroom, her bedroom, and
wow.
I'm planning on remodeling my office. So
Okay,
all of that, it's like a creative outlet, for
yeah,
me, and it's got that I really like to organize and clean, and I've been
yeah,
nesting lately, which is so weird. Like I feel like my baby turned 6 and I panicked internally because she looks like she could be going to second grade, and I'm like purging all the things, cleaning all the things. I'm like, I don't know.
yeah. I feel you. I feel you. That's my life. That's my life. Yeah. I get that. I love that. Yeah, so I love that you have the left, right brain all both at work. The financial and then you have this creative. We have to do that. Great balance. Great balance. So now I know who to call on if I need a decor support in business. Great. Well, thank you for sharing all of that in the lightning round. It was supposed to be off the top, but I do prepare. I do give it to you just in case you're like, I need to prepare because I get
I
it.
know I'm that person. I've
Yeah. I
admit.
put it's some of the guests are like, "Oh, I got it." Some are like, "No, no, no. I've written my questions out. We're doing
Yeah,
this way."
yeah.
So I understand. So thank you again for being a great guest and sharing all of your knowledge about the financial industry and what we should be doing to build wealth and also just your journey, taking the unexpected route and being able to build this life first business where you are present for your family, raising your children, but also running a very successful business while your husband's running one too. Like that's a whole nother podcast episode is being a entrepreneur wife, right? And it's the whole
Yeah.
thing. So yeah, so feel free to tell the audience how they can connect with you.
Yes. Well, you can email me. My email is Sarah without an H, so SARA at SaraWealthMGMT.com.
Okay.
If you email me, I'll send you my calendar link. We'll set up a time just to have a phone call and chat. And I'd love to hear about everybody's stories and where they're at.
Awesome. Awesome. Are you on any involved in any recent projects or anything going on? Are you on social media so we can follow you?
Yes, you can follow me on social media. I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn, and you could just search
Okay.
my name.
Okay.
So my current, Sara Wealth Management is brand new. As it was my goal this year to start my own DBA, and so that is launched, and I'm just starting, to switch everything over to that, and I'm
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that. Having my own brand is very exciting.
Congratulations. That's awesome. I love that
Thank
for you. And
you.
I'm sure it'll be successful. I'll make sure to put your email and your social profiles in the show notes so you guys can follow her on Facebook and connect with her on LinkedIn and shoot her an email to set up a consultation just to talk about, some of your financial goals, especially as a mompreneur, um, preparing for what's next in your life. So thank you again, Sarah, for sharing your story Thank you guys for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, I implore you to share it with another mom or mompreneur or business owner who's interested in learning more about building financial wealth or just needs to be inspired by Sara's story. And as always, mompreneurs, remember to always give yourself permission to follow your dreams because you never know what you can do with that potential. So thank you guys for listening. Until next time, you guys be blessed.